Hey, what's going on, family? It's your girl P. Koffe Brown here in the great state of Texas by way of Houston. And I have come across a unique way for you to turn your phone into a well-oiled money-making machine with just a few clicks of a few buttons from learning a skill set that will not only pay you today, but it will pay you for life. If you want to know more information about how you can participate in our community and start learning today and earning while you're learning, you can literally take 1 to 2 hours a day to eliminate the 8 to 10 hours you're giving to somebody else. Listen, hit me up. Let me know you're open and interested. I'd love to share with you what we're doing and how it can be a blessing to you and your family. Do not wait. Start making this thing pay you. Let the phone pay for itself, family. Love you guys. Enjoy the balance of the day. Peace. And don't forget, comment TNT. Peace. What's going on? What's going on, family? Welcome to this week's edition of P. Koffe Brown Show. I am your hostess with the mostest, and we are super excited. It's getting ready to be hot up in here. The only person missing is Landon, and literally he is dealing with daddy stroller issues for the launch in Houston, Texas, coming soon. So super congratulations to him on that launch that's getting ready to come up. So we're excited for him and all the dads who are doing everything they can to be great fathers to their children. So it's super exciting to see what he's doing with the little tiny humans that are both like 2 and under. Like, whoo, I remember those days. I'm glad that part's over. Yeah, not going back to that one for sure. So listen, it's going to be an exciting segment on the night. Got a lot of things in the news. Listen, it's so much stuff going on in the news that when Vincent jumped in for the session tonight, we just start going in. It's so much stuff happening, y'all. It's just crazy. But in Texas news, more specifically, it says, according to Fox 20 Houston, it says the U.S. plans to drop millions of flies from airplanes over Texas to fight flesh-eating maggots. Okay. Don't flies make maggots?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hello, at this point, are y'all playing in our face? Like, just say that because
Well, they've been doing that. They've been playing in our face.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and say it at this point. Just say
it. And my mom was like, she said, wait a minute. If they gonna release flies, they can't control where they flying to. My mom was like, that don't make no sense. I was like,
so are they quote unquote causing the flesh eating? Like, make it make sense.
Make it make sense. And the other thing is, where are these maggots at? Maggots crawl. So maggots are real obvious, and you will see a maggot. So where are these maggots at that y'all talking about? And why didn't y'all tell us about the maggots in the first place? Not making no sense. In other news, the bill they're attempting to get passed is going to affect Medicaid, supplemental income from the government that people use to live every day, and pretty much the elimination of Social Security is getting closer. And Vincent just brought to my attention that they're trying to make it to where if something were to happen to your parents and you're not in a position to afford their actual estate, to maintain their estate, that they can take that estate from you. Now, I will tell you, if that is in a trust, they can't do nothing with it. If it's in a trust, they cannot touch it. So that is important. If you guys are, whoever's watching this, you need to investigate trusts. Investigate putting everything you own out of your name and in a trust. Your car, your house, every single thing that you own, get it out of your name and find out how you can put it inside of a trust. Lastly, in the news, so we can get to this amazing topic for tonight. Lastly, in the news, the verdict is in for Sean Puffy Combs. And I, for one, am not happy about what I saw. The women that were affected by this will not be vindicated at all. And this is just a really, really unfortunate situation. Vincent made a great point as to whoever is involved in this. There's a backstory that we're just not hearing about. Period.
Absolutely.
It's got to be. There is absolutely no way this man is getting away without found not guilty on all that stuff. That they had literal hardcore evidence substantiating that he did it, and he gets out.
And it's not just the women; it's the men too. He is definitely victimized men as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are these people gonna do now that he's possibly to come home soon? What are these people
Hopefully hide to start with.
I mean, that's gonna be the only option, right?
Yeah, and I told Vincent,
who wants to live their life that way?
Right, and then the thing about it is, they just said yesterday that they were struggling with the sentencing. The judges were struggling with the sentencing, the actual amount of time that he's going to serve for the offenses that he was found guilty of. And I said, where they do that at? Y'all threw Bill Cosby under the bus, and a lot of that was that wasn't even substantiated, and it was a whole bunch of hearsay, and y'all threw him under the bus.
And it was over 30 years ago.
Over 30 years ago, where actually they didn't even have the ability to have the kind of evidence that they have now. They showed you videos and all kinds of stuff that literally proved that Sean Puffy, that he did this stuff.
Again, playing in our face. Like, it goes back to the same thing.
I got two questions. First off, when they raided his home, they found thousands of illegal videos that he recorded of these people. So my question is, all they have to do is file civil suits against him. You were recording me without my permission.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they can correct. And then here's the second thing. Puffy did way more than Bill Cosby did.
Way more.
Yeah.
Way more. And you
Way
straight convicted him. No,
Period.
but see, here's the thing.
Period.
It's a difference between Sean Puffy Combs' money and Bill Cosby money.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I spoke
And what's
about
backing that money?
Yeah.
I spoke about that yesterday. It's the power that he have, and people can say what they want to say, but he has so much power in that industry to where obviously we see he's getting away, quote unquote, with murder. You know what I mean?
Literally. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And
it's not even in an industry. He has so much reach, even in the
politics,
legal department, politics, all of that. He has reach in so many different areas. It's not just the music industry.
Bigger than entertainment.
So that makes you question how many people in the legal and politics and the system was actually friends with him to where they may be on some of these tapes. We don't know who's on these tapes. You know
and
what I
he
mean?
knows that.
A lot of elites are on those tapes.
A lot of what now?
What, Jason?
Elites. A lot of elites are on those tapes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Gotta be. It's the who's who that's on those tapes.
Right.
And that's
Congress people, people that in pulpit.
They're all pulling together to pay so it doesn't come out.
Point, honestly, he was smart to tape all that.
Well, you know what though? They made a person like that. He's too paranoid to only have one set of copies. He has more copies. Think about it for a second.
Yeah.
Thousands of tapes now. He's paranoid. It is shown. Yeah.
Right.
So this is just my thoughts about
That's
it.
all I got is
He threatened them. Y'all may have confiscated this, But let me go and mention these certain names.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember,
Mm.
he was not by himself. You don't know what his son, which is one of his accomplices, has. The dude is too paranoid to not have certain things put in place. You have to know his background and who his dad was. His dad was no different than him.
Yeah, that's true.
He act just like his dad.
So
Did the same thing as his dad.
he's been conditioned to know how to maneuver and manipulate.
Ooh.
Classic narcissist.
But
And
see,
it,
that's
and
why.
I
That's
would give
why
him a
he
little bit
felt
of
like he could do half the things that he was doing because he in his head he made himself untouchable. You know,
Correct. Correct.
the way he presented himself, his ego, just everything gave that illusion that he is untouchable. So
Facts.
having this happen to him in his head, he's like, yeah, they don't know what I got. You know,
oh.
like
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're forgetting
To me,
another.
this wasn't nothing more than a big distraction.
yeah,
This was him getting a hand slap because he got a little beyond himself, if you will.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
They
it's
just
Yeah.
another
trying to
thing we're
they
not
just trying to
discussing.
show him like, oh, we still have authority, but really and truly we know what's going on.
Facts.
Yeah,
They have another allegation that he's given multiple people HIV.
Yeah.
Forgot
Oh my
about that part of
God.
it.
That's
And
nasty.
what's the guy from City Girl, the chick from City Girl's name? I forgot her real name.
oh
Miami.
Yeah,
yeah.
Young Miami. She's literally came out and said that she got it from him.
Wow.
And she has a list of all these people he's been with, male and female. So once again, he can still get got on that because remember they did Charlie Sheen like that, they did
Yeah.
Mel
True.
Gibson like that. So guess
True.
what?
Yeah,
If
those civil suits. Somebody on they somebody waiting just to file them because
and
they
went on that
definitely
verdict,
those suits are definitely coming down for sure.
and they still going back and forth with this RICO charge, which is the main one.
Oh
They,
yeah, true.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
Man,
I totally forgot about the RICO charge. Jeez.
But what's the Rico? What did he do?
oh man,
I'm just saying. To have a
something.
Rico charge, what did he actually do?
I had to go back and look at it, but it's something. It has to deal with racketeering, money laundering. It has to deal with stuff way past sex trafficking,
Yeah.
where it's the money is being filtered into businesses.
Yeah.
Because that's really what they were trying to get him on. Is he was using Bad Boy to do this
Other
sex
stuff.
trafficking,
Yeah.
and it was going from there because
Yeah.
it was evidence of that being shown.
Man.
You know
Listen.
something?
Go ahead, lady. Go ahead.
My only thing with this big ordeal is the fact that so many people took the risk of being vulnerable and sharing what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for this to happen, it just shows so many other people that when you share or when you speak out, does it really matter?
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No,
and
just
that's a very scary thought for some people who really have something that they need to share, and they don't have they can't foresee a safety net. They can't
And
see
that's the
any
Yeah.
first
safety.
time I heard about the HIV thing. I heard about the other disease, other little STI, STD with the H. That of course he had passed out to a whole bunch of people that runs fluid in the entertainment industry. But that's the first time I heard
Mhm.
about the HIV one.
mm-hmm.
That's
And
crazy.
out of everything, you know who I'm really kind of most disappointed in is Cassie. She should have. I think she had way more information, but her being paid out was
Well, you got to think about it though. You got to
yeah.
think about what happens to a person's mind when they go through so much trauma. You got to think about how much guilt they feel for allowing themselves to stay in an environment where all of this is going on. And then think
Mm-hmm.
about where her life is headed. She's trying to pivot, but she thinking her speaking out and sharing what she did share was going to release her of that guilt and
Mhm.
create
Mm-hmm.
a new life for her in a sense, while also trying to do the right thing when it comes to her and other people. So the best thing for her with a person of this power and authority is for her to take the settlement. And I'm only saying that because, again, you got to think about the mind and the emotional stability of a person who experienced these things. I can't even wrap my mind around half of what she experienced, and being around these people who's in these high positions, like, and you thinking maybe it's safe here or to talk to this person or to, it's so much. So I
It
can't
is.
even.
And
Yeah,
she has been around him long enough to know the extent to which this man has full
yeah,
and power.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
she knew that she was taking a chance. This was going to be a risk for her. And I've seen someone where they said she shouldn't. She took that money and she thought, well, she took the money because she thought it was going to change her circumstances, not even thinking about the emotional um struggle, the emotional wear that it had on her. Like
Mm-hmm.
it outweighs the fact of whatever 80 million, whatever how much money she got from that settlement. But
Facts.
And
yeah,
don't get me
the
wrong,
way
it
she's
changed
gonna
her.
feel, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
changed who she was, and she's gonna have to do some real healing. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
changed her financial standpoint. I mean,
exactly.
because she was used to a certain lifestyle. But like
Yeah.
you said, I agree with you 100%. It's not going to change her emotional toll
right,
that it took on her. It's
Yeah.
not going to
absolutely.
change all the rest of that stuff. I mean, but yeah, she was used to a certain type of lifestyle financially, and
Mhm,
that's basically what the
mhm.
lawsuit was getting back to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you
Yep.
know
I
what
mean,
though?
and I still think her husband put her up to it.
You know what though? Here's my thoughts. If you kind of look at similar to how they did Bill Cosby, their approach with Bill was like he was mentally traumatized these women and did really heinous stuff to them.
Uh-huh.
What did Puffy do? Even if Cassie did take that,
Hmm.
look at the emotional toll. He had messed her up so bad till
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like a reverse reaction that okay, I don't want to disappoint him. It put her in a real bad headspace, just like with Kim Porter, same things.
Yeah.
There's no way you could tell me
Yeah.
that that manipulation cannot be somehow
Mhm.
used against him. That's because guess what? You had other people say the same thing. It might not have been to a sexual standpoint, but it was the mental abuse that he did.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go into it like that.
Yeah.
That's why I
Mhm.
say, man, it makes you look at it like this is a joke, dude. If you ever want to put a message out that you can't control, we control the narrative. This is a big slap in the face to show you
Yeah.
that,
Facts.
and it's
Yeah.
bad, man. Like,
Which leads us
And
into
something else I
our
saw on this case, and I was just looking at the pictures of they were showing family members leaving the courthouse after the verdict, and I really got beside myself to see Albie Shore's son.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Like your dad was one of his victims.
It's yeah. It is a lot.
Yeah.
So
I
guys,
heard
you
they
know
had
we
to call
talk
the cops and fight.
listen,
I don't know. I didn't watch it,
it's
but
no
I heard they
it's
had to call the cops.
it is no telling how this whole thing is really gonna play out over time. I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of stuff, a lot of a ripple effect later on as a result of all that has happened for sure. It is truly going to be a ripple effect. I can guarantee you. It's gonna be a lot of backlash and a lot of retaliation for this.
this rabbit hole,
It's gonna be a mess for sure.
it's way
Mhm.
deeper than what we think, man.
Of
And
course
I
it is.
think they
Absolutely.
had to stop
Yeah.
it because you don't know how far this goes to whereas involving other issues
Hmm.
with other countries.
Hmm. Oh, it's way bigger than
It's
the
way,
U.S. It's
yeah,
Yeah.
way bigger than
that's
U.S. Come
why,
on, everybody know that
yeah,
part.
man, and that's
Yeah,
the thing they don't want to touch because honestly, you think some people's hand is in the cookie jar with this.
of course
Of
it is.
course, of course. That's
And some of them
exactly
benefited
why.
All
from it.
day long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly why it panned out the way it did because there's
exactly.
hands in the cookie jar that should not be in the cookie jar.
Right, and
But
they
you know what?
benefited, and they ate real, real good.
I
Oh
Seriously.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly, Epstein had more information. That's why stuff happened the way it happened with him. He literally probably was going to open his mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Puffy been
Just
quiet.
like
yeah,
That's the
Cassie
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Puffy
Clay.
been
and,
quiet.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
that's exactly what's going on. So, I
Now,
man,
listen, y'all, it's been a lot in the news, as you guys can see, and there is a lot to discuss when it comes to our world news reporting. But we are going to head into our topic for tonight, and possibly it may take us 2 episodes to really, really talk about this topic. But this is going to be very, very pivotal. Definitely pay attention to this episode, like all the episodes that we have. But this one is interesting. Culture, confidence, and calling, leading authentically in every space that you enter. That is something that a lot of people struggle with. What is authenticity? What is showing up as your real self look like, and consequently, how is it going to impact your audience? How's it going to really impact your audience when they really find out who you actually are? So I got a question for you guys. When it comes to culture, how has your cultural background shaped how you actually lead? What has the impact of your background had on your leadership?
My background had on my leadership. Well, I grew up around some prosperous and very well-to-do people. Being around congressmen, judges, lawyers, etc. And I mean, it's definitely shaped a lot of who I have become
Mhm.
in terms of a posture standpoint, right? So, again, like we was talking about even last week when we were still talking about the men and how we carry ourselves. Some people they see me kind of act a little goofy at times, a little silly at times because I don't like to be serious all the time. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So your background has a lot to do with how we turn out. I mean, yes, you could always change things, you could always grow,
Mhm.
but your background definitely has a lot to do with who you become or who you allow yourself to become.
Right. And at the core, even when we do adapt and make some changes, the core, that very core, is something that you won't be able to get away from. You'll be able
Right.
to adapt and make some changes and make some adjustments. Yet that core is something that it's gonna show up in some way, shape, or form. You just gotta figure out how much of that core identity, if you will, is going to be a part of your leadership. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask this to Depria. I think this would be a good one for you. What challenges have you really faced in the professional space when it came to staying true to your identity? What challenges have you
Oh
had to
my
address?
goodness. That is a great question.
Thank you. Hey, that's why I'm the host.
I faced many challenges. Why? Because what my background and my culture identity of knowing who I am and walking in that, learning who I am, was very different because I wasn't around a lot of quote unquote role models, or I didn't have good examples of that. My environment was very much so low vibrational, but I knew, I don't know how, but I knew that this was something that I didn't want to exist in. I wanted more. I desired to
Hmm.
have more. But as I was transitioning and growing into my being and knowing who I am, I faced a lot of challenges with being secure within my authenticity because I felt like I had to be cookie cutter. And because I felt like that, I like pulled away from my calling for so long because it's like if I have to do it the way they say I have to do it, I don't want to do it. And
Ooh.
for a long time, I didn't know if that was me being rebellious or was it me wanting to be myself. And when I say myself, that's something of you going through self discovery, learning who you are and how you are. Does
Mhm.
does me showing up fully as I am take away from the value that I have to give or that I can provide, right? So I went through a whole challenge within my 20s of how can I exist in this space and be authentic to myself while also navigating a room where most people are cookie cutter or most people feel like you have to fit inside these boxes.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
went on that journey and learning who I am, how I am, the things that I can resonate with, what are my core values and my morals that can stay a part of me, and I can still be friendly, bubbly, sweet, goofy, and all these things, but still be able to provide the value that I have. So that was a huge challenge, but it took me to be secure within myself, to know who I
Mhm.
am, and to walk that path without any outside validation.
I know that's right. I put a post up today. To
Mhm.
learn who you are, you need to unlearn who they told you to be.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
And that
powerful.
So
that is
true.
so scary when you're on the journey,
It
because
is
sometimes
very
you
much
have
so.
Yeah.
to be by yourself.
Yeah,
Nobody can do it for you.
yeah. And another aspect of that is you have to go into an isolation period. You
Have
know, you
to.
have to go
You
into
have to.
isolation period because it's the same concept as the butterfly in the cocoon. That butterfly has to be isolated. That butterfly will never fly if somebody takes them out of that cocoon. It has to be isolated in order to be able to get strong enough to flap its wings.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest things that people struggle with is somebody poke the cocoon. You struggling. Let me help you. Oh, you struggling. Let me help you. No, no, no. And you have to come to that point where you're brave enough to say, I don't want any help. I know
Yeah.
I'm on my face. I know I don't have everything that I need or want or desire, but I don't want any help. No, I don't want a hand up. I don't want a hand a major influencer, and I her name escapes me right now in the beauty industry. What's that girl's name? Dupree Shanta Hill or something like that. What's her name? Should something Hill? You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
She's a major influencer in the beauty industry. She had to close the doors to her business because of her health. And people were like, "Oh, we want to help," but she said, "I don't want help. I'm not going to keep this brand going. It's literally going to kill me if I do. I am stopping
Mm.
right here. I'm done." And people literally could not understand her decision to say, I'm dropping this right here. She was like, yeah, I've made millions of dollars and still could. But at what expense? All the
Yeah.
long nights, the long days, the countless hours. She said, y'all don't get it. A lot of times, entrepreneurs will not tell their real truth of how much time it's taking them to get where they are and how much time
Mhm.
is still required of them. It was a lady on LinkedIn, and it was so crazy. Her post went viral. She said, "Judge me all you want, but I'm gonna work this 9 to 5, and I'm gonna keep going to a new 9 to 5 and earning some more money because I will not take that. The entrepreneurial journey is like it's way more required than it is for
Hmm.
me to go to a 9 to 5."
Mhm.
And she was like, y'all judge your mama, judge your auntie, because it's too much. She was like, I got on the path and it was too much. All I realized was I ended up working twice as much as I was working to literally land myself in the same exact spot that I am right now with this 9 to 5. Now, of
Hmm.
course, she didn't understand a lot of the properties of entrepreneurialism and how to get on the right side of the quadrant. When you think about Robert Kiyosaki and left and right, she didn't understand those aspects because she was basically self-employed. Yeah, you're definitely gonna burn out like that. It's too much. It is way too much if I got to do it by myself, for sure.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's something that is has become a very huge challenge, and I appreciate you talking about the challenges at certain ages and certain phases of where you are. Let's go on to the next question. Dr. Shamika, what advice? And it's so funny because I'm asking the doctor.
Oh, goodness gracious.
what,
Ah,
what advice would you give to somebody who is apprehensive about their full heritage in a room?
Oh, that's a loaded question, but that's a
There you
great
go.
question. That's
That's
loaded.
it's that's a good question. It really is.
That is a good
I've been
question.
working on these questions for 3 days.
Okay.
Pat's back.
You know, we really just have to be able to just lean into where we're going, what we're being presented with. We have to just sometimes just stand in the space, just be present. We won't have all the answers. We won't have all. the workarounds. We don't know how to fully show up all at once, but being present in what could be, having our lineage, having our heritage, all of those things, because we don't know all of what our heritage is. We don't know all the answers. But showing up every day, showing up in those rooms authentically ourselves, and we cannot be authentically ourselves if we are not left alone with ourselves.
Period.
We can't learn, from other people. We have to learn inwardly who we are.
That's
And
right.
that's why I love the illustration that you shared about the butterfly and the cocoon, because sometimes isolation is the only way to be able to show up fully who we are, where we're going, and what our purpose is. So showing up and being apprehensive, I would say don't be apprehensive. I would say give yourself grace to show up in that moment, knowing that, hey, you're going to have to grow, you're going to have to do some things that are uncomfortable. But if you keep pushing, you'll see the fruition of, the hopes, the dreams, the desires that you want to see. You'll see those things because you'll know how to navigate if you just show up who you are. Don't try to be more, don't try to show up in a space that you're not comfortable in,
Mm-hmm.
fully someone else. Be you.
Mm-hmm.
Be you in that moment, be you in that room, but be true to who you are too. And we can't get there if we don't even know who we are.
I love it. Kind of reminds me of that movie, The Imitation of Life,
Yeah, yeah,
when that
yeah,
mom, that mom was nice and brown, and that baby was so fair that she looked Caucasian. She never would
yeah,
acknowledge her mother. She never would acknowledge her heritage. And when her mom died, she freaked out. And it was like, you know, you knew all the time. You knew all along who you were. You knew all
yeah,
along where you came from, but you chose to deny it. I met
yeah.
one of Lena Horne's grandchildren when I was in New Orleans for a while. And when I met her, she was talking about her grandmother and how she took a stand and how difficult it was for her when people would encourage her to, when you go into this room, pretend you're a white woman. When you go over here, pretend you're a white woman. And Lena Horne was like, I'm not doing that. I am not
No,
pretending I'm nothing. I'm a black woman, period.
yeah,
Period. And
yeah,
it was so crazy how she talked about that for so long. And even, Hank Aaron's wife was my teacher. She was my teacher when I was in school. And it was so crazy because she even talked about that being fair like that with green eyes and looking on the Caucasian spectrum or Italian, if you will. She talked about how people used to challenge her, in certain rooms, especially when she was with Hank, when she was married to Hank, because they were divorced before he died. And she was like, people used to challenge me all the time and try to make me not admit that I'm a whole black woman for real. Yeah, I
yeah,
got some other roots, but at the end of the day, when the dust settles and the smoke clears, I am a black woman. So I love how you said that. Just be. It's almost like the concept of overcoming fear. Do it afraid.
yeah. Just
Do
do
it
it. Yeah,
afraid. Do it scared of
just
the
do.
judgment. Do it when
Mhm.
people may possibly say something. Do it with somebody looking at you side-eyed or somebody questioning, oh, why is your nose so straight? Or why is this? Da, 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 da. Do it with all that stuff coming at you. And
Because how much will
eventually,
you learn about yourself if
absolutely.
you
And
just jump out there and do it? How much
absolutely.
will you discover your ins and outs
Hmm.
of who you are, your purpose, where you're going, if you just show up?
Absolutely. Now I got a confidence question. I'm going to ask this to Vincent. So Vincent, I know that you work with educators and different things like that in a leadership role that you hold in
Don't forget,
at
I
the
work with
collegiate
doctors too.
at the collegiate level. You deal
Hmm.
with a lot of
Yeah.
people at the collegiate level and professionals, doctors, and things of that nature.
Hmm.
How do you keep your confidence from being shaken by imposter syndrome or
Hmm.
comparison while you're addressing those people and you have to give them directives and let them know, no, it's not going to go this way, it's going to go that way. How do you keep your confidence from being shaken?
Well, once again, like we were going back and forth, I could go back to my upbringing. I mean, my dad was a football coach and he was an administrator for years. So I seen this amongst I have other family members in high roles. I'm not going to speak upon, but because I get a kickback from it. But being around them, one of the things that I was taught to is nobody can question your knowledge if you are very thorough in what you do and what you know.
Yeah.
Policies and procedures for how, depending on the administrative level of what's going on, they're different. And if I know what I'm talking about, I go with the best of it. And like I said, most doctors they have an alpha mentality, so to speak, which we talked about. But in actuality, when they come across someone who is a real alpha, they tend to back a little bit because I'm not doing all the barking and the loud. I'm coming at you in a calm manner. I'm letting you know this is what we're going to do. This is why. And if you have any questions, I have someone I can direct you to. And a lot of times when I direct them to this particular person, they tend to go that, happens to be in a way higher position. They tend to like, you know what? We'll do it your way, Mr. We'll take
Period.
it this way.
And this question is for everybody. I like how you said we'll do it your way. I like that a lot.
No, this is exactly what they say. I don't get upset. It's a calm tone. And see that what really it's really they try it's like playing chess. They want to put something in front of you to throw you off your game to get you upset. And then it's a transfer of energy. Okay, you done made me upset, but I'm gonna sit here and be calm.
Right.
It seems like
Right.
you are the aggressor. You are making this situation be more, and I don't ever feed into it.
Yeah.
And actually,
Yeah.
it actually ends up they're the ones that are upset. And then even after we had this conversation, documentation is very important. So for everybody that's out there, please, whatever profession you have, please document everything.
Documentation beats conversation.
Yeah. Remember I was telling the last time we talked, Jason, we were talking about some of the things about what I say it was your daily log of things that you do. I have a daily log in word for word, verbatim. I have an excellent memory, so okay.
Come on with the elephant memory in the house.
Yeah. And I have a conversation and read receipts of emails, and I just politely sent this to the powers that be.
Period.
So guess what? When you go talk to them, I was already notified about the conversation.
Right. Yeah, I got that phone call today at 4:00, and somebody called me saying, "Hey, I know we're almost at the holiday, but I wanted to call really quickly. Have you talked to this franchise owner? And did you send the information to the franchise owner?" I said, "Forward." I said, not only did I send it, I got a reply, and they sent it directly to who needed it in the first place. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Read receipts. Bye-bye. Read receipts will save you.
That's the reason why I don't even delete the email ministries. I leave them sitting somewhere, and I just, here you go, buddy. Here you go, buddy love. There you go. So, I really, really like that. I like that a lot. And I think too, to be able to stand in your own grace, if you will, or in your own stage, it just really takes you having that straight back to say, I know who I am, I know what is required of me, and I know how to execute it. And you can't take that away from me. You can come in here and act all crazy all you want to, but at the end of the day, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know this is the one thing I do know. I might not know something else, but this is the one thing I do know. I mean, matter of fact, Jason, I know you remember this. We had an author who came and tried to disrupt the company. Like, I mean, on another level of disruption, right? And we had to get our company attorney involved. And I told him, I said, no matter what you do, it's not going to change. I said, you can do all that barking and wolf tickets. Go help yourself. I said, but guess what you did? You signed a document.
Yep.
Legal and binding, buddy.
That was notarized.
Oh yeah. That's why we got documentation over here, sir. Yeah. Yeah. And the company attorney, he was like, I'm so proud of you because he said that guy was aggressive. And Jason will tell he kept the level of disrespect was on 1,000. Like he
Oh,
was
wow.
totally out of his mind.
Mhm.
Wow.
But I remained calm. I did good. I did good.
Thank
Proud
you
of
for
you.
not
Proud of
choosing violence, Coffee. Thank you.
you.
Oh,
Proud
Jason,
of
no,
you.
because I was texting Jason during the time, like, I got about 2 more comments before.
And what was one of the things I told you? I was like, whether he does it or whether he doesn't, it doesn't matter. Money was already spent and we already had an agreement. So if he doesn't
Period.
uphold his part of it, he can't get mad if we don't.
There is nothing that he can do. And Jason was like, Coffee, why do you care? I said
Yeah,
he keep messing with me. Jason was like, again, why do you care?
right.
He keep
We gave a
messing with me.
timeline, we gave everything else, and he decided to go against it. I mean, I understand, you try to give people a little bit of leeway, but if you go against that timeline and you don't get the needed results, that's almost like me doing auditions. If I don't send in my audition on time,
Right,
I
right,
can't get mad at anybody else but
correct,
myself.
correct,
I can get mad at every
correct,
other situation
correct.
Mhm.
because I recently missed an audition that I
Right.
actually wanted to do, and I'm very upset about that. But then again, I can't get mad at nobody but myself. I can't get mad at the casting agency or anything else. I mean, it was on me. The
Yeah.
same thing with him. It's like, hey, dude, whether you decide to do it or whether you decide not to,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I mean, there's a given result to that decision.
Facts,
Yeah.
facts, facts.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask everybody this question. What is your conversation with you when you're nervous about showing up for something, but you know you got to show up and you got to show up in power? What
Mm.
is
Oh,
that
that's good.
conversation like with yourself?
I wouldn't mind going first. I recently spoke on a panel. This was my first time speaking on this specific panel, and I've knew about some of the people that was on the panel with me, but I never met them in person. So it was a lot of different industries. Wasn't I didn't know who was going to be there or exactly what to expect. But I think because I've been in spaces where I'm speaking so long, I always check myself and remind myself like your superpower is your authenticity. So I can't be shaken up. I can only be excited. So I always tell myself if I feel anything, I'm excited. I'm not nervous, I'm excited. And
Hmm.
to exude that in a way where I look like I'm confident in myself. I deserve to be here. I'm supposed to be here. And it just makes my energy lighter to where people feel it. They
Yeah.
know, like, okay, I could connect with her, because she seems secure. She seems confident. She seems like she knows she's talking about. So that's one thing that I always do. My self talk is very important the day before and the day of. And I'm consciously aware of what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, and reaffirming to myself, like, no, you deserve to be here. You
Hmm.
Yep.
deserve to be here in your
Yeah.
fullness, to show up excited, not nervous. Because what are you nervous of? Who gonna check you about you, Depria?
Period.
Right.
Period.
So,
Period.
I always tell myself that.
Period. I love that. I love that. I had a major brand that had me do their event, and they came to me and was like, "Hey, Coffee, we heard that you MC events, and we want you to actually MC the event. Not only do we want you to MC, we want you to literally go in there and do what you do, and literally say whatever it is you feel. You're gonna have this amount of time, and yada yada yada. And we want you to really, really have a moment to just connect with everybody, connect, share with." And I was like, okay, cool. Initially, the conversation with myself was, this ain't the right outfit. Why they ain't tell me this before?
Hmm.
Why they ain't tell me this before? No, this is not the right outfit. And then, the superpower was like, every outfit is the right outfit. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
What you
That
mean? This
part.
ain't the right outfit. Every outfit is the right outfit. Look at you. Look
That
at
part.
you. Did you see
Period.
you? I was like, you
That
know
part.
what? You show right. Did I saw me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
You
Stage
do.
open. Right, stage open. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's go with you, Dr. Shamika. What is that thing that you? How is that conversation with you when you know you got some apprehension going on, but you got to show up in power. What's that conversation like with yourself?
Yeah, I always think of like they wouldn't ask you to be here if you didn't belong. No, nobody wants you to come and just speak to a room full of people to just give them air. So you have something of value to share and to give to people if they're asking you to come share. I had to speak last night, and it is just so awesome to just be in a room and everybody is so attentive to what you have to say, and that's because you know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always have to tell myself one thing that people can never take from me is what I know. My
Okay.
knowledge, my education. You can strip everything of me, and I'm going to be able to build that up because of the education, the knowledge, the experiences that I've been through. I understand and know how to now navigate and move through those situations again because you cannot take what I know, the knowledge that I have. There's nothing you can do with it because I'm going to forever have it. So if people are asking me to come into a room, they're inviting me to a place, I belong there. So
I
I'm
know
always
that's right.
like, there's no reason for you to be anxious. There's no reason for you to be apprehensive or, nervous or anything because you simply belong in that room. No matter what the conversation is, if they're asking you to be there, there's some value. So just
Mhm.
go ahead and do it.
I know that's
Hmm.
right. Do a Nike move. Just go ahead and do
Just
it.
do it. Just
You
do
know
it.
what's funny though? I still get butterflies when it comes to
Yeah.
ministry stuff because
Yeah.
like when it comes
And
to
you should.
secular, yeah, when it comes to secular stuff, I'm like, all right, cool. Where's the microphone? I mean, check 1, 2. Yeah. But when it comes to ministry, I get butterflies. Like seriously, like recently I was, asked to do something at a ministry. They literally called me up. Mr. Brown, can you come? You want me? Yeah, come on, come on. And I'm like,
Yeah, you.
you sure you want? Come on. We want
Yeah.
you up here. We want you up here, and we microphone. I'm like, so it's a whole different feeling when it comes to ministry
Yeah.
stuff. It's a whole different nervousness because it's when you're saying something in that space, it's both a natural and a spiritual thing going on. So even though it's
Yeah.
natural and spiritual in
Yeah.
every space, it's expected in that particular space, if that makes sense. And so when
But
they
you've
when they
been given that grace to do it. You've been given the
yeah,
grace to
and
be
I'm
in that
telling you,
ministry. Yeah.
yeah, and
So just do it.
yeah, the butterflies, I was talking to one of my mentors about it, and they said the butterflies for that space is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
have a level of conviction when you have a microphone and you speaking to parishioners for sure. You
Yeah.
definitely want to have
Yeah.
a level of
Yeah.
conviction when it comes to that for sure. She's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that those butterflies, that's conviction for sure. That's a good thing to have for sure. Jason, when you have
What up?
to be in a space, I know you did a major event for a organization where they called you to the carpet to spearhead for them on one of their panels. How were you when you had to show up in that space and be strong after you dealt with some opposing stuff? Probably like what it was a day or two before that, before you had to show up in that space.
Oh yeah.
Oh
And
wow.
how was that conversation with yourself when you had to show up?
Well, I mean, honestly, I agree with what Dupree is talking about. Is I can only walk in my own authenticity.
Hmm.
So I feel when people ask for me to speak in certain spaces, they're asking for me.
Yeah.
Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
the whole having butterfly things, I appreciate it. I look forward to it, and the reason being is because to me, only means that you're alive.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
means that you
Okay.
care, right? So
Oh,
even when
yeah.
I
Yeah.
do
Oh, you
stage
say that.
Yeah.
plays, I can
Yeah.
know every single
That's
line
good.
that everybody does on both sides, mine and theirs, and I'm still nervous because, or I shouldn't say nervous, but get butterflies because I care,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
I know
Right.
that anything can happen.
Right.
Now, for me, one of the things that, I do is that when I get in that space, two things happen initially. the first thing is I remind myself that obviously they asked me to do it because there's a lot of people in that room that was too chicken crap to get up there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people are scared of public speaking. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other thing I do is I see whose energy gets disrupted by mine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say that I prey on them, but I I use that to power up, if you know what I
Yes,
mean. So I don't
yes.
abuse them with it, but it's like when I start being myself and everything, I see who starts wiggling and everything else, and I'm kind of like, okay. And the reason being is because, and I'm gonna speak to what you just said, Coffee. You said that whenever you get around parishioners and everything else, you get nervous because you're trying to make sure you say the right thing. But see, one of the things you also have to keep in mind is sometimes, or a lot of times, when you're not used to speaking in certain spaces,
Mm-hmm.
and someone asks you to come speak in that space, is because they want you to be disruptive.
Mm.
There's something they're scared to
Ooh.
say, but it sounds so much better coming out of somebody else's mouth
Mm-hmm.
than their own. And I think about stuff like that because for me, like I said, I'm naturally myself. I don't really have much of a representative. So if I get up there, if you know that I curse from time to time and you tell me to get up there and not curse, but it's something I'm overly passionate about, you might hear a curse word or two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that I'm meaning to do it, but it just,
Yeah,
if
we
you're
have to
passionate
have those
about something,
Yeah.
things just
conversations.
ooze out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think about stuff like that. I
Right.
try not to let it get the best of me. And if something tries to shake my tree, as I like to say, I just wonder, okay, why? Why are you trying to shake my tree? Or why am I having these challenges a couple of days before I'm supposed to do something? It's like, everything happens for a reason. So
Yeah.
I try not to let it bother me. I find for everything that I find to shake my tree or get my energy off, I look at something else on the reason why I should be there and the reason why they asked me to be there in that space, if that makes sense.
I love it.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes a lot of sense. I love it. I love it. I love it. Vincent,
Yes,
when you
ma'am.
have to show up, and it kind of coincides with your question from earlier, when you have to show up and you have to come with that power and you're feeling reluctant in any way, shape, or form, what is that conversation with you like?
Well, with me, my personality, and this is just how I am, and I've had to tune this down over the years. Either get on or move on.
My Lord.
That's just my personality.
Yep.
And Jessica said that coffee, that's just who I am. And the thing is, I'm very raw and authentic with who I am. I always come from a good space. Always. It's never anything malicious and it's always genuine.
Right.
And life is nothing but you're an actor. My job, if you for me to speak or get in front of someone, my job is to entertain you. So I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm on point with my delivery, how I body language, all that. I feed off of it. The nervousness, you honestly,
Yep.
you need to be nervous because if you get too comfortable, that is when you make mistakes.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
Very true.
A little bit of nervousness, guess what? If you did your work, you did your woodshedding, like one of my directors used to tell us, Jason know what I'm talking about. Guess what? Your muscle memory will kick in
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
automatically. But you have to make that first initial step. And that's the fearful part.
Yeah.
Getting started.
yeah.
Starting.
That's
That
good.
is everything. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you
That
get
is.
started, I'm like, you know what, man? Hold on, man. I got this. Hold on. Move out the way. Let me go and take care of this right quick. And guess what? You'll find yourself putting on the best performance, the best delivery that you've ever done. You'll be amazed, like, hold on, man, I actually did that. I actually said that. You done zoned out and everything that flowed so quickly. Guess what?
Yeah.
You'll be surprised with what you can do, man.
Yeah.
A little
I
bit
love
of
it.
nervousness is good.
I love that.
Yeah.
In 1 minute or less, we're going to go around the room because this time has gone by so quickly. Oh,
Yes, it
man,
has.
these conversations are so amazing. But we will definitely have a part 2 to this for sure because there's still a lot to unpack with this conversation. But let me ask in 1 minute or less, give me about 35 seconds. When did you first realize you were called to lead?
Mm.
Honestly, when people kept coming to me asking my opinion on stuff, knowing that I don't always answer things the right way,
That's a good one.
yeah, if you know that what I'm telling you is going
Very
to
true.
upset their energy or upset you, if you will, if you ask me, if we're talking about dating or something, you asking me why some of these men don't want to be with you, and I say because you give it up too easy and you working in a whole space, you
Ooh,
can't get mad at me.
ooh.
Why did you ask me in the first place? That was
Here's
just
it.
an example from way back in the college days and stuff, but still, it's like if
Here,
you're moving in a certain space, you can't get mad at me when I tell you you're in that
Oh my
space.
gosh. Okay, next. That time is up. Who's next?
I'll piggyback off of that. Yeah.
Not that part
No
though.
matter.
Not that part
No,
though.
not that. No, not that part. I don't have that story. I don't. Mm-mm. But yeah, that's one thing. I've always been the person that everybody goes to. Like I am,
Hmm.
no matter what it is, they directions, fixing a car. I know nothing about a car, but they know I'm gonna find out, so they're gonna ask me the question. I my nickname in my family is Medea from everybody. So
Hmm.
Hilarious. Hilarious. I
I
love
Dr.
you
it.
know.
Medea Shamika.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah. And I knew a long time ago that I was supposed to lead. What I wasn't sure of is what area, but I've always known that
I
I
love
was a
it.
leader. I mean, I do my own thing. So,
I love
Hmm.
it. I love it. Vincent,
uh, I'll say this. One thing I've learned: your best leaders are the ones who don't want to lead.
facts.
And a lot of times,
woo,
I used to avoid it.
Hmm.
And guess what? I would initially, and that's where, like I was telling you, me being who I, like I said, well, hey, either get on or move on. I was forced to do it.
Right.
forced to
So
do it.
I got
Yeah.
conditioned. Hey, you know what? You come, hey, I got full autonomy. Okay, let's go. I was placed in those situations.
I love it.
Hmm.
So Vincent said the same thing, but just in a PC way. Good job,
Right.
I
Vincent.
Right.
swear
Very,
y'all
very
really
good.
related.
Very good. Very good. Very good. The first time that, well, this wasn't really the first time, but this was the first
I like
incident
your
where
analogy.
I actually saw it happen and unfold. Was kind of like what you said, Vincent. I actually developed a training plan for a company, and I was like, yeah, this is yeah, we can put it like this and that, and I thought that I'm just developing it and gonna hand it off to somebody. She said, okay, you can go ahead and train the 700 people on what? I got to do who
Hmm.
Wow.
to what and where? And
Wow.
she was like, the way that you just said, I can't repeat what you just said and it come across correctly. It was like, no, you got to go do it. It's just as a matter of fact, you can start tomorrow. I'll have two different sessions.
Wow.
It'll be 350 people in the first session and 350 in the second session.
Yep.
Wow.
And I was
See,
like,
see how
hey,
she placed you in
Okay.
it. Same thing.
Okay.
yeah, literally
Yeah.
set me up. But I my and I told my mom about it. Was funny. I told my mom about it. She said, well, I knew you were leading the day when you were, I think I was like 3 years old. And my little brother at the time was trying to do something. And I said, that is not the way that you do that. I know you saw mama teach us how to do such and such lesson. So, and my mother said, I knew it, I knew then that you were a force to be reckoned with at 3. I was like, she was like, oh yeah, you
Hmm.
used to have all the children in the neighborhood doing it. And I was
That
like,
is
I was that.
great.
She was like, yeah, you were little and leading the charge. Another incident that I'm gonna head to Dupria was when I actually was over a big, huge choir at 16.
Oh
And so
wow.
that was amazing. It was amazing. I absolutely am a music person. A lot of people don't know that, but I same background professionally for a long, long time, and still do sing quite a bit. But that was the very first time where I was just like, man, that just anybody in the arts knows that if you are an arts person, oh man, if you're in that zone, it's like you don't even think about the fact that you're leading. You just love what it is that you're doing. And you
Hmm.
just you just you love it so much and it just captivates you. And it literally comes across. And when they performed that Sunday, it was magical. And I was like, man. And they were like, you know what? you hired. You're gonna be able to. Okay, all right then. Dapria, when did you first know that you were a leader?
Everything that y'all said, I feel like all of us as leaders have experienced.
Yeah.
My dad used to always tell me, "You're so bossy," when I was little, and I'm like, "What you mean I'm bossy?" I didn't understand it. Fast forward when I was 18.
That's where the little person. Okay, now it comes
Mhm.
out. But okay, we know who following in them footsteps. I'm not gonna call no names out.
Yes. Fast forward when I was 18, I became a manager at this restaurant, and I had older colleagues and coworkers, and they hated the fact that I was 18 and I was their boss. They hated it, but they enjoyed it at the same time. They hated it because I was so young. So that was the first time I was put in leadership role. And then fast forward when I was 24, I decided to start working in that on my own and becoming a wellness coach and things of that sort. And that's when I really started to embrace it, because I ran away from it for so long. I'm like, I don't want to just give me a little job. I could be over here, I ain't got to do too much. But like Dr. Shamika said, people just, and Jason, people just kept coming to me about different things. And I'm like, why are they asking me? Like, all the people you could ask, why me, So I started to embrace it at 24, and I've been here since.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, this has been a fantastic segment. Again, we're going to have a part 2 to this because we can't unpack it all in one session for sure. But super, super excited about these fantastic leaders on this panel. So excited that so many got a chance to come out for the actual show today. So super grateful for that. We're missing Landon Taylor. Again, he is doing the Dad Stroller Club launch in Houston, Texas. So huge congratulations to him on that amazing project. This past weekend, Jason did a phenomenal performance in acting. He and his wife were doing their thing this past weekend. Amazing. So it was super dope to see that. And of course, Dr. Shamika, myself, Dapria, we always in the wind with something. And Vincent is just keeping them people under control in that space over there where he making sure that they understand he is the NIC. Period. Don't mess with me. Period. So thank you guys for tuning in and tapping in. We really appreciate you guys. And remember to love yourself, but love somebody else. And we'll see you again for another edition of the P. Koffe Brown Show. Grace and peace until next time.
Coach P. Koffe Brown and the DFG Publishing House family presents She Chose Him and Screwed Me, 9 Reasons for Her Decision, a brand new anthology project by 9 incredible women. They share with you their reasons as to why they would date one and choose to be married to another. Order your copy today from your favorite author or simply go to www.dfgpublishingtoday.com.